conspiracy theories seem to be becoming mainstream fact a lot recently, and it's not just the Alex Jones stuff, and I don't really want to cover that because it's a bit rote at this point. Rather, I want to talk about the Wuhan lab leak theory, because it's really amazing the journey this whole thing has taken on. It's gone from the point of being, you'll be banned if you say this at all, to Jon Stewart's now making bits of this with John Oliver, or I guess at John Oliver. That clip's hilarious. And 57% of Americans completely believe it. And this utterly trounces the 17% of Americans who believe that it was natural. And that is on top of the fact that even at this point, many people in the mainstream media are still trying to say, no, it's still ridiculous. It's just a theory, okay? It's just a theory. It's not confirmed. Though we did say it was debunked just 2 minutes ago. Don't even worry about that. No, it doesn't matter. I want to ask the question of how did it take this journey? How do you begin with a conspiracy theory that had no evidence to support it to pretty much everyone believes this exact thing, and there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of viable alternative explanations? Well, the first thing you should start with is, of course, a logical premise. And if you don't have a logical premise, don't expect your conspiracy theory to ever become legitimate at all. You got to start with something that actually makes sense and has at least a high likelihood or reasonable likelihood of being the truth. And, well, the lab leak theory is one of the better examples of this. You see, China were the people who were claiming that the origin was completely natural. And, well, China's repute with regard to their claims, particularly on coronavirus, isn't exactly very good. You see, another thing that China was claiming, just around the same time, really, was that coronavirus couldn't be spread from human to human. And this got so far as to the WHO tweeting it outright. The China Pravda they are. And contradicting China is actually a very good place to start with any theory. You see, if you go completely in the opposite direction of whatever the Chi-Cons are saying, you have about a 98% chance of being 100% correct, even if you don't have any evidence to begin with. But of course, that's not all there was for evidence with regard to the lab leak theory. I mean, the first thing is the massive amount of coincidences surrounding this whole event, and we don't even have to include the amount of evidence we have now. We can just go back to what we had back when this thing was actually just a conspiracy theory, or supposed conspiracy theory. That was, of course, being investigated at the time by our intelligence community, and it ended up bringing up evidence, but we'll get to that. Right now, that's not relevant. All you need to know is that, well, China just had a virus escape into the populace somehow. And they're claiming that it was a leak from a wet market. Of course, a wet market that's just about a block away from a bioweapons research lab. Oh, I'm sorry. Gain-of-function research lab, which, might I say, are basically the same thing with a different stated purpose. Gain-of-function is you take a virus and you genetically engineer it so that it's more viral and can potentially do more damage in a populace and be more likely to create a pandemic for the stated purpose of preventing pandemics. Of course, an absurdity. And bioweapons research is where you do that exact same thing, except you're trying to use it against someone. Which aren't different things. Those aren't different things. You could be doing both, potentially. Gain-of-function research, bioweapons research, same basic thing. So, but that's a bit of a tangent. They're doing bioweapons research, gain-of-function research, in Wuhan, a block away from where they said that it came out. Also, there were some preliminary studies of the virus that are saying, there's some stuff in here that doesn't look supernatural. Like, some of this doesn't look as though it's actually real. Also, it's kind of weird that it's so well adjusted to humans, despite supposedly having just jumped from bat to human not 2 months ago. These are a lot of weird stuff, and that's a lot of the information that was actually available in February, and that's already enough to say, yeah, that's at least a reasonable theory, and one that you should probably at least look into, something which, of course, the Chi-Coms never let happen, and will never let happen, let's be clear. But on top of that, if you were willing to do a little bit of history research, you'd also find out that the Chinese have a bit of a history of lab leaks like this. You see, even SARS, there's a bit of evidence to suggest that it was a lab leak. Among other pandemics, I mentioned this back in my China, the paper economy video. Once again, with that video, I suggest you check it out. It's a good video. I put a lot of work into it, sources, whatnot. But get back to the subject. That's what you need to start with. That premise of, okay, there's a lot of coincidences going on around here that don't seem to make a lot of sense. Also, China is untrustworthy, and you should never trust what they say, so we should almost assume that whatever the opposite of what they're saying is accurate. So all of these things come together in, okay, this is a reasonable theory. Move forward into the future. Of course, after all of these spurgouts by the media, and particularly social media, saying, no, you can't say that, you should be banned for saying that there maybe was some impropriety with the communists in China. No. They were totally solid. They were totally above level. It's totally fine. Turns out that a bunch of scientists that were working at this exact lab were some of the first popularization cases in China in Wuhan. And we found this out through our intelligence community. It was an intelligence leak. Weird. A bit strange that all of these coincidences would just so happen to line up as perfectly as they do. But of course, you know why all these coincidences line up as they do. China was lying, which isn't surprising at all. And this sort of pattern lies all over the place, especially with COVID-19. Whether you go back all the way to the human-to-human transmission claims, or you go a little bit forward into the future with the mask claims, which are, of course, have been disintegrating for quite a long time, as I've itemized in other videos, and once again, that source is down in the description that shows that they have about 2% efficacy, which is, frankly, really pales in comparison to the 15, 30, 45, 100% efficacy that gets claims in certain studies. 2%, it's nothing. The same patterns apply in many of these cases. Do a little bit of historical research, take it out of the fog of panic, to look at these things from an actually objective standard, look at the studies that are supposedly supporting these things, and you find out that a lot of these studies are not designed to actually push science, which would be the natural world, reality as it is, but are instead designed to push public policy. In particular, mass studies, which is one of the most prolific ones, where scientists will literally take data that is real, take the German study, for example, it just gets thrown around all the time, utterly absurd study, where they took German numbers, the actual German numbers, with the mask mandate that Germany put into place across the entire country, and then what they did is they went back, plugged it into an equation where they assumed that masks would have a certain amount of efficacy, and then it spit out the data to look semi-random, and then they put them on essentially a graph, said, look at this difference between the non-mask numbers and the fake, and the not fake mask numbers. Weird. I guess this proves the efficacy of masks then. Of course, ignoring the fact that they were assuming the efficacy of masks in their methodology. It's not science, is my point. And that's how you can predict the future, or more accurately, just see with your eyes with regard to all of these things. All you need to do is have eyes, be literate, and don't trust the science and the scientists, the credentialed people, like they're deities. Don't treat them like deities. That's all you need to do. You don't just don't treat the Chinese like deities. That's all you need to do. And you're done. And that's where I'm done with this video. If you like the video, do in fact subscribe down below and all that sort of stuff. Share the video. That's one of the more important bits. And On top of that, look down in the description. There are very many pretty links, including my sources here, and also links to where you can find my other stuff, whether it be my BitChute channel, my Rumble channel, my Odyssey channel. I think I have another one, but it's not down there. I don't think I put my YouTube down there. On top of that, breakingonthedaily.locals.com. Go check it out. Please go check it out. Locals is such a great place, and I want to see that grow. And on top of that, I also have places where I'll put my thoughts on occasion that aren't in a video form. Things like Minds, Parler, Gab, that sort of thing. And that's where I'm going to leave you guys off. I'm KelKidman. This has been Breaking on the Daily, and I'm out.